Imagine a tiny colony, no bigger than a speck on the map, that dared to thumb its nose at the British Empire long before the shots at Lexington. In 1776, while other colonies still debated, Rhode Island's assembly boldly declared, "Allegiance to King George III is over 2 full months before the Declaration of Independence." This wasn't just defiance, it was the first formal break, born from a legacy of rebellion against authority itself. Founded by a man banished for preaching separation of church and state, this rogues island harbored heretics, Jews, Quakers, and anyone else shunned elsewhere. It burned British ships, ran the slave trade, sparked the Industrial Revolution, and fought for voting rights in armed uprising. Small in size, massive in audacity, how did this rebel outpost shape America's fight for freedom and equality? The story starts in the winter of 1635. Roger Williams, a young Puritan minister in Massachusetts Bay, crossed a line the authorities couldn't tolerate. He preached that church and state must stay separate, that native lands belonged to the tribes, not the king, and that forcing religious conformity was tyranny. Banished, hunted, he fled south in a blizzard, nearly dying before Narragansett sachems Canonicus and Mayantonomi granted him land, the head of Narragansett Bay. He named it Providence. God's providence had spared him. Williams bought the land fairly, a rare act in colonial times. He declared Providence a haven, no forced worship, no state religion. Dissenters followed. Anne Hutchinson, exiled for her antinomian beliefs, helped found Portsmouth on Aquidneck Island in 1638. William Coddington split off to establish Newport in 1639. Samuel Gorton founded Warwick in 1643 after his own clashes with authorities. These 4 towns, Providence, Portsmouth, Newport, Warwick, formed a loose alliance of religious radicals. In 1663, King Charles II granted the Royal Charter of Rhode Island and Providence plantations, the most liberal in the colonies. It guaranteed self-government, religious freedom for all Protestants, and quietly for others, and no mention of royal oversight in religious matters. Quakers, Jews, Baptists thrived. Newport's Touro Synagogue, built in 1763, became the oldest in America. This lively experiment in tolerance drew merchants, creating a bustling trade economy: rum, molasses, slaves. Rhode Island merchants dominated the triangle trade, distilling rum in Providence and Newport, trading it in Africa for captives, then selling them in the Caribbean. Yet the charter's independence bred resentment. Neighbors called it Rogues Island, tried to swallow its lands. Rhode Island fought back, preserving its sovereignty through cunning diplomacy and sheer stubbornness. By the 1760s, Britain's tightening grip after the French and Indian War sparked fury. The Sugar Act of 1764 hit Rhode Island's molasses trade hard. Smugglers and merchants resisted. Then came the Gaspé incident in 1772. The British customs schooner HMS Gaspé ran aground near Warwick chasing smugglers. A band of Providence men, led by John Brown, rowed out, boarded her, shot the captain, and burned the ship to the waterline. No one was ever convicted. Rhode Island juries refused to cooperate. Historians call it the first act of violent resistance in the Revolution. Tensions escalated. Rhode Island called for a Continental Congress in 1774, the first colony to do so. When war broke out in 1775, the state raised troops immediately. On May 4, 1776, the General Assembly renounced allegiance to George III, the first colony to declare independence outright. No king, no crown. This rebel act set the tone. If tiny Rhode Island could break free, others could follow. The revolution hit Rhode Island hard. British forces occupied Newport in 1776, turning it into a naval base. The Battle of Rhode Island in 1778 saw American and French troops clash with the British, first combined operation of the war, though inconclusive. The state endured occupation, privateering, and economic strain, yet its merchants supplied the Continental Army, and its defiance inspired others. Post-war, Rhode Island resisted the new nation. It printed paper money wildly, angering creditors. It delayed ratifying the Constitution, the last state to join in 1790, only after the Bill of Rights promised protections. Fear of centralized power ran deep. The rebel spirit lingered. The 19th century brought darker chapters. Rhode Island led in the slave trade. Newport and Bristol merchants profited heavily until gradual abolition in 1784. Enslaved people built wealth that funded later growth. Then came Dorr's Rebellion in 1841–1842. Thomas Wilson Dorr, a privileged lawyer turned reformer, fought the state's archaic charter-based government. Only property owners voted, about 40% of white men. Dorr's People's Party drafted a new constitution expanding suffrage to all white men. When the charter government refused, Dorr's followers ratified it by referendum and set up a parallel government. The Algerines, charter loyalists, crushed the uprising with force. Dorr was imprisoned, but the rebellion forced a new constitution in 1843, broadening voting rights dramatically. Peace brought transformation. In 1790, Samuel Slater built America's first water-powered textile mill in Pawtucket, the spark of the Industrial Revolution. Rhode Island mills multiplied, textiles dominated until the 1920s. Providence and Fall River boomed with factories, drawing Irish, Italian, Portuguese, Cape Verdean immigrants. Labor struggles flared, strikes, unions, but industry made the state wealthy. Newport became a Gilded Age playground for Vanderbilts and Astors, their mansions symbols of opulence. The state led in innovation, jewelry in Providence, silver in Gorham, tools in Brown and Sharp. Rhode Island's influence spread quietly. Its charter's religious freedom shaped the First Amendment. Its early independence modeled self-rule. Its industrial might powered the nation. Today, Rhode Island blends heritage with forward momentum. The smallest state packs density, second only to New Jersey, yet boasts over 400 miles of coastline. Tourism thrives. Newport mansions, Providence's waterfire, beaches draw millions. In 2024, 29.4 million visitors generated billions, supporting nearly 90,000 jobs. Economy evolves. Defense and ocean tech anchor growth, naval undersea warfare center, electric boat subs. Life sciences, biotech expand around universities like Brown. Arts and culture fuel identity, festivals, historic preservation boost economy. Challenges remain, high costs, population shifts, but resilience defines it, from Roger Williams' refuge to modern innovation hubs. Closing reflection. Rhode Island never asked permission. It defied kings, churches, even the new nation it helped create. From a banished preacher's vision of freedom to the first shots of rebellion, from mills that clothed America to mansions that flaunted its wealth, this rebel colony proved small size hides great power. In an age where conformity often wins, Rhode Island reminds us, true progress starts with defiance, tolerance, and the courage to stand alone. The ocean state's waters still lap against shores that once sheltered outcasts. They whisper, "What will we defy next?" The rebel spirit endures.